This video is brought to you by Miniature Market. Thousands of board games, discounted prices, miniaturemarket.com.
Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here. Today we're going back to the 1940s in and around World War II, and we're going all the way to Germany because we're going to be prisoners. We're going to be held captive at a place called Colditz. This is a historical game. We're looking at Escape from Colditz. This is a reprint, the 75th anniversary, which is how long it's been since this actually historically happened. And we're looking at a reprint of this game from Osprey Games. It's for 2 to 6 players, takes between 90 minutes and up. I'm going to show you about the game, show you the production difference that's gone into this different version, and I'll see you on the side for my final thoughts. The production is really good in this game. They have replicas of sort of a first aid kit, and this holds a lot of the pieces in the game. And if you remove the insert, it has a hand drawing of Colditz, which is a really cool touch here. The game comes with a full rule book, which includes new rules and the old classic rules, as well as a 30-page history book. The book has many illustrated pictures and tells you a lot about the history of the building itself, and also shows you some blown up artifacts that are truly historic and mind-blowing. Here we have Escape from Colditz set up for 4 players. Now, setup differs depending on how many players you have. In this case, we have the blue, which is the Americans, the orange, which is Dutch, and the red, which is British. The other player is the security guards, the Germans, trying to keep them in. It sounds like it's one versus many, but these players are actually trying to win the game on their own. Now, how you win is you get 2 of your people to get to any one of these bullseyes. There's 7 of them in the game, and the first person to get 2 of them there is the winner. Otherwise, if the clock runs out, meaning the game ends, and nobody has done that, then the security guard is the winner. It recommends you to play 50 rounds, so 50 turns each, but you can customize that to your likeness. Now there's different areas of the castle. Each of the people that are trying to escape will each get a turn, and then the security guard will get a turn that ends a round. This is the inner castle, and you can never be arrested out here unless you are holding some type of equipment because you're suspicious, but you can never be arrested in this middle sort of gray shaded light area, the lapel there. Outside, you can always be arrested no matter what because, hey, it looks like you're probably trying to escape. So inside you need to have equipment, outside you can get arrested no matter what as long as the security guard goes on you. On your turn, you're going to roll 2 dice, and then you get to split those dice however you see. Now here I've rolled a 9, so I could move one guy 9, or I can move one guy 5, one guy 4, or I can move all of them just a few amount. You can decide how many people move how many. You can never move through anybody else. Well, how do you escape? Well, many of the escape routes have different things you need. Like this, you need a German pass to be able to get through. Here, you need a key to be able to get through that spot. Here's 60-foot drop. You need to use 2 ropes to be able to go down there. If it's a 30-foot drop, just 1 rope. If you're at any of these spots, you can use a wire cutter and get through the fence. Well, how do you get that equipment? As soon as you have 2 people in a room, you can get that piece of equipment. Once you use it, it goes away. But there's 2 rooms of each equipment type, and you could have 1 person in each room or 2 people in the same room. Also, those equipment cards can be traded with other players that are trying to get out. So you might work together, they get that, you trade it, and you make a run for it. There's certain hiding areas that are blue that you can never be arrested in. There's certain areas that you can never stay in because this is a spotlight and you'd be seen. All of the areas inside, the guards can never go in. Those are safe unless, of course, there's a rope in there or you're doing something suspicious. Anytime you roll doubles, you roll again and you can continue to move. So this is 8, I'd roll it again, and I got 10. I have 18 moves that turn. If I roll 5 or less, it's bad, but you get an opportunity card if you're an escapee, or a security card if you're an officer. Now you can only hold 3 of these cards. If you get more, you gotta discard 1, but these help you do things like, hey, you can move right to the interview room, or you could draw an equipment card of any type that you want. Or if you're about to get caught, you can avoid confiscation of equipment due to a search, because if you get caught outside with equipment, it gets discarded. You can also sometimes make a tunnel and be able to go outside. And using a tunnel will allow you to go from here and underneath these brown spots to the outside. But when a security guard rolls 5 or less, they get a security card that do opposite things. Like they can arrest anybody in that area right away. They could roll and try to shoot somebody who's outside the area to be able to kill them in the last minute before they escape. They could detect a tunnel and arrest people that are in it. They could, arrest somebody as soon as they try to use a key, all sorts of different things like that. Now, in order to escape, you need a personal escape kit. Everyone starts with one of these. If one of this player escapes, this gets removed. You need a second one to get your second person out, unless you can time your escape so 2 people can escape on the same one on any of the bullseyes there. Now, once this is gone, you'd have to get a compass, some chocolate syrup, a disguise, and a map. And how you do that is you have 1 player in each of those 4 different rooms inside to get another one of these personal escape kits. Now, anytime somebody's arrested, they go back to the middle spot here, and the player that arrested them goes back to the commander's office. At the end of their turn, they'll put the commander's office back here to the barracks. Anytime, people from the barracks can literally, for a move, can go to any one of these black guard posts, and conversely, anybody in a guard post that you don't want can move back to the security office, which means next turn they'll get to put them anywhere else on the board. It's sort of like little teleport portals. That's pretty much the game. Anybody escapes before this, they win. If it gets here, nobody has escaped, the security officer wins. Now, this game was on my most anticipated list, pretty high for the Essen releases here, mostly because it's a historical game, which I love. Plus, it had that one versus many, which I also love. And it just seemed like it was a game that came out a long time ago. And to see Osprey, who's been doing great jobs of bringing older games back, this is why I was interested in it. Now, the game itself, let's first start with the production. Oh man, Osprey knows what they're doing when they're bringing things back or making them better. The production and the thought that went into this is absolutely amazing. Everything from the box to when you open it up, it has that replica of the first aid kit. Inside there are all the pieces. The fact that you take the insert out, it has a nice hand-drawn part of a hand-drawn diagram of Colditz, which was so cool. And as you're opening boxes, I didn't show you in the video, but different boxes that you open up have different copies of different things that were actually artifacts during them. They just did a great job. It almost felt like a legacy style game opening up some of these things. Production, while they knocked this thing out of the park, they couldn't have done a better job. It was amazing. Now, the game itself is pretty interesting. It's super thematic. You're going to be going around. You can't be arrested when you're in the inside unless you're suspicious. The guards can't go into the rooms unless there's a rope hanging there and they're going to go get it. You can be arrested anytime you're outside. And if you do, they confiscate your equipment. You're going to be using ropes to get down places, sometimes 2 ropes. You're going to be needing a pass to get by places. You're going to need a key to get by places. You're going to try to cut through the razor wire with the razor cutters. You're going to need a disguise, an escape kit. All this stuff is super thematic and I love it. But the game is heavily luck-based. I mean, you're using dice. It tries to mitigate that with when you roll something low, you get a card that gives you a special ability, and those cards are really good. But both sides get those. So there's going to be times where you roll some doubles and you're getting a lot of movement. So there is a lot of luck involved. I will say for a roll and move game, there definitely is more strategy than you would think because there's lots of things to think about. Now, I think the game plays better with a little bit more players. I'd say 3 or 4 is probably the sweet spot here. With 2, it's a little bit too hard, I believe, on the escapees because the guards can really just watch what you're doing and figure out where you're going to be going. But with more players, you have that thing about trading. They can trade equipment. So you can make deals with people without, secretly and say, I'll go over here, get the rope, you go over there, and I'll give this to you. You can thwart the plans, I think, a little bit easier with more players. It's more interesting with that. But at the same time, every time you add a player, this game gets longer. Even with 2 players, this game's going to take about 90 minutes. Was my experience in my 2 times that I played it with 2 players. And it's going to take longer after that. So the game itself, I enjoyed a lot of it. I mean, everything about it I really enjoyed. The parts that I did not like are, again, the randomness. I'll give you 2 examples. I was at the end of the game, and sometimes this is another negative, is because of the luck of the dice and such. Sometimes the ending can be anticlimactic. Now, you might have a climax maybe 7 rounds before the ending where you were really making a run for it and you got done and you pretty much know you're probably not going to get out of it. I got to one of those points where it felt like it was over. There was about 3 turns left and I just decided to make a run for it. And I rolled 2 doubles in a row and I got all the way out and I got past the razor wire and it looked like I was going to win. But then the opponent rolled 2 double 10s in a row and then a 9. He got to move 29 spots, caught me 2 spaces before the end, and it was like, I didn't think I had a chance. Oh my gosh, I have a chance. I didn't have a chance. And that was a climactic ending, but a lot of times it doesn't end that way. I give you that example to say that this game is super swingy with the dice rolling, and your whole game, even though you're strategizing and stuff, can get thrown out with a couple of bad die rolls versus a good die rolls for the other team. And normally I wouldn't harp on it too badly, but with a game that's never going to be shorter than 90 minutes, for me it was a little too long to be that lucky. But oh my gosh, I love everything about the game. Other than that just the whole thematic aspect and such, that I'm really torn on my final of this. For me, it's not one I'll end up keeping just because of the length. I don't get longer games to the table too much. And when I do, I don't want it to end on a bad dice roll, but there's a lot here that I like. The production's amazing. If this speaks to you theme-wise, production-wise, definitely give this one a shot, because if you're playing with a lighter group, the family and such, they might not mind the dice rolling. It might be something they're more used to than the strategic Euro-style games of today. So they did modernize the rules. They did streamline them a bit, but it's still a little too lucky for mine. But it's an awesome package, and one that I still recommend you check out and decide for yourself, and that is Escape from Colditz.
This video was sponsored by Miniature Market's Review Corner. The Review Corner features podcasts, video, and written game reviews by gamers for gamers. Miniature Market, the online gaming superstore. Thousands of board games, discounted prices. Check them out at miniaturemarket.com. I'd like to thank each and every one of you for backing me on Kickstarter and making this season become a reality. I'd like to especially thank those here that have backed me at the credit level. Now, these video reviews are also available by audio on our podcast. It's the intros and the final thoughts on GameBoyGeek.com. Click podcast.